Hey y'all, I'm Ashley. Thanks for joining me again over here at Whip It Like Butter. Alright, so today we're going to make a sweet potato pound cake, y'all. Y'all been seeing this recipe, and I was like, I don't know. People like sweet potato pie, they like sweet potato casserole, or just, regular sweet potatoes or candy yams. But y'all gonna love this cake. Yes, we're putting sweet potatoes, pureed sweet potatoes, right into this cake. Now, if you bake your sweet potatoes right, you don't have to put them through a food process or anything. We're gonna bake them till they're nice and soft. So all we have to do is scoop the mixture out of the sweet potato, and then we're gonna go ahead and put it in our cake batter. So let's not talk about it anymore. Let's go ahead and get into it so y'all can see how this is done. So you can go ahead and bake this cake because it's gonna be bomb. Alright, so flour, sifted, granulated sugar, light brown sugar, eggs, butter room temperature. You're going to need baking powder, cinnamon, nutmeg, and salt, buttermilk room temperature, and of course, sweet potatoes or yams, whatever you call them. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start by washing our sweet potatoes and putting them in our pan. We're going to go ahead and put them in the oven. These took about 2 hours to bake. It really just depends on the size of your sweet potato, but you can see the sweet potatoes here, they're out of the oven. So when I can press them like that and they start, oozing and caramelizing a little bit like that. That's how I like my sweet potatoes, because at that point, when they bake that long, they're really nice and sweet. I found that if I cook them like, a little bit less than that, they're not as sweet. So right now they're all nice, sweet, tender, and you see that skin is pulling right off. Very easy to peel. I didn't let these sit too long to cool before I started peeling the skin. I like to peel the skin while it's hot. I suggest that for you all. I think it's easier. So I just peeled it back, and we're gonna go ahead and just start scooping. You see how soft that is? We're just gonna go ahead and scoop a cup and a half of sweet potato in here. You see, we're probably not, well, not probably, we're not gonna have to put it in the mixer or anything because it's so soft. If you want to put it in a food processor, that's fine, but you don't really need it. Just scoop your sweet potato right out of there, and then you're good to go. Okay, just like that. And here we go, starting with the second potato. But we're gonna go ahead and get started here. So we have also our vanilla extract. I left that off. I had set all the ingredients out so they could come to room temperature while the sweet potatoes were cooking. So I didn't set the vanilla out because vanilla will evaporate. I've learned that in the past. So I went ahead and pulled that out last. So I put all of our little seasonings in here with this flour, and we're just gonna go ahead and whisk it together, because we're going to go ahead and put all of our dry ingredients in here at once when we get ready to do that part. Okay, so after you've done that, you want to go ahead and set that mixture to the side. And you know how I like to start all my cakes. I'm pressing it right here to show you all how you can tell if the butter is at room temperature. It'll have an indentation. So it shouldn't be like super duper soft. If it gets a little bit softer than that, I mean, it's not going to hurt. But you really want it to be right here at room temperature. Okay, so we added that to our mixer, and we're going to go ahead and add both the sugars in here as well. And of course, we're going to go ahead and get them all nice and creamed together. So you just want to turn on your mixer and go ahead and do that for a couple of minutes. Okay, and I definitely recommend the paddle attachment if you're going to use a stand mixer. You can also use a hand mixer if you don't have, or if you don't want to use a stand mixer. Okay, and so after we're done with that process, I just went ahead, press some of the mixture down off of the paddle so it can go ahead and get nice and blended. We're gonna go ahead and add our vanilla extract, and I mixed that in. I mean, it really could have waited, and mixed in with the eggs, which is the next step. But we're gonna go ahead and add our eggs one at a time. Y'all know, one at a time, mixing well after each addition. I'll speed this part up for you. Just make sure you don't see any yellow streaks. That's how you know that the egg is blended into the mixture. Okay, so then we're gonna add our sweet potato puree and get that all nice and blended. Y'all, this sweet potato mixture really adds a nice moisture to the cake. You wouldn't believe how moist this cake is just from adding the sweet potato mixture along with the buttermilk and the butter. Like, it really created a nice balance. Okay, so here we are alternating. We're gonna alternate with our flour and our buttermilk. As y'all know, we always start with dry and end with dry. Alternating your buttermilk in between, but make sure that you end with your flour mixture last. Okay, and so once it starts to combine, then I start adding the buttermilk, and you just keep that process going until you get everything combined. And you want to make sure that your setting on your mixer is kind of low at this point because you don't want your flour to start kicking out. So you see here, I don't mix my cake all the way because I don't want to over mix it. So we're just gonna go in with a spoon and we're gonna finish up with the mixing process. And after we're done with that, of course, we're gonna spray our bundt pan because we're gonna get ready to put this cake in the oven. Our oven is already preheated to 350 degrees. Now this is a 12 cup bundt pan. I always cook in 12 cup bundt pans these days. I have a 10 cup, but my mixture, like probably like that spice cake, is the only cake that's small enough to fit in a 10 cup. But my mixture was going up to the top of my bundt pans. So pretty much for every cake that I make now, I go ahead and I use a 12 cup bundt pan. Okay, so we got everything in there. We're gonna go ahead and spread it, of course. And we're gonna bake this for about an hour to an hour to 10 minutes. And make sure you put it in the middle rack of your oven. So our cake is done. It's been cooling on our wire rack for about 20 minutes. Isn't that cake nice and golden and pretty, y'all? Make sure you do your toothpick test as well before you take it, completely out of the oven and start the cooling process. Okay, we got this cake inverted. Yes, nice and beautiful. Baker's Joy never fails me. Okay, so icing, powdered sugar, milk, cream cheese, butter, vanilla, and also some salt. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with our cream cheese and our butter. We're gonna get that all mixed together and creamed. Okay, you see room temperature butter. The butter is pretty soft. It's okay, we're making icing. Okay, and when it's about here, we can go ahead and start adding our salt. All right, and then we're also gonna add our vanilla. And then we're gonna start adding our powdered sugar once that's blended together. And we're going to end with the milk. And you want to make sure that you're adding your powdered sugar have your speed on a low setting because you don't want to kick the powdered sugar out as you're adding it. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and end with our milk. Just add it a little bit at a time so that wouldn't kick out as well, and also so everything had a chance to catch up as far as mixing. Okay, see it's nice and creamy. We're gonna go ahead and take it out and we're gonna go ahead and stir as well so we can make sure that everything's incorporated, and then we're gonna start icing this cake. I just went ahead and gave it an extra whisk this time just to make sure it was no lumps or anything like that before icing this cake. Now y'all, let me tell y'all about this icing the cake process. Okay, so I had a vision of how the icing was gonna fall over the cake. That's why, I added the milk in here, but I didn't want it to be too thin. Yeah, the vision didn't go as planned, but yeah, you can't, once you start with the cake or whatever, things happen, so you just gotta roll with it. So I'm showing y'all real quick how I roll with it. So I wouldn't ruin this beautiful cake because, the cake was beautiful before it started off with the icing. Of course, I just like to add icing to the cake and put some pizzazz. So I just, went in with the spatula and was spreading stuff around. That wasn't working. So look, I had to get in here with this brush and brush the cake. And then I topped it with some pecans to make it nice and pretty. And yeah, woo, I was nervous, y'all, because I knew this cake was going to come out so pretty and the crumb was going to be so nice. But, after I started with the icing, so whatever, maybe the icing will work better for you. I'm not, the icing queen, but, I revived that thing and I made it work. So you can just top it with some pecans for a little extra pizzazz, or you can leave the pecans off. But y'all, this cake was so delicious, and we're getting ready to get into this taste test. Okay, y'all, so here we go with our slice of cake. I didn't do a huge slice this time, right? I did just a regular size slice, I guess you can say. Let y'all see it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get into this, y'all. I'm glad we were able to save this icing. You know, things happen like that, and baking, you roll with the punches. I'm not the, you know, cake icing queen, but you know, I get the job done. So let's go ahead and get into this little taste test. But I want to just share that with y'all to give y'all encouragement if you're not good at putting icing on cakes, or things happen when you're decorating your cakes or anything. Things happen, you just gotta roll with the punches. So good, y'all. The sweet potatoes change the texture of the pound cake. It adds a denseness, but it's super moist at the same time. Very delicious. Definitely think that you'll like it. Very good cake. Yeah, and this is just enough icing to enhance the cake, but not take away from it. All right. And then pecans are a nice touch too, even though we just added them for decoration. So thank y'all again for joining me here. Please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Like and share, and we'll catch y'all next time.